everyone, this is Patty Behan and I want to thank you for joining me today. In this video we're going to make this rainbow embossing birthday card, and I'll be using some Simon Hurley stamps, Ranger and Wendy Vecchi embossing powder, and some Letterit adhesives. So let's get started. To begin, I'm going to be using the Cakewalk stamp set from Simon Hurley, and I'll be using these two stamps and the happy birthday sentiment. And in case you didn't know, all of Simon Hurley's polymer stamp sets have the option to buy digital die cuts. I cut out 6 of the balloons with the strings and then 6 of the balloons by themselves. So to start, I have a piece of scrap paper that I'm putting down, and I'm going to take my balloon here and place the stamp on a Simon Hurley block, and I'm going to use our embossing ink that has a gray tint to it, and this is so you can see what I'm stamping in the video, but this is great when you want to see the image you're stamping and you're using an opaque embossing powder that you can't see through. You won't know that it was gray ink versus a clear ink. So I'm going to stamp that down and make sure I get a good image. And so this is how you can see that light gray colored ink on there. And then for our first balloon, I'm going to color it with the red embossing powder. This is Ranger's brand embossing powder. And what you want to do is just pour the powder over top. And this is a little tricky because there's only a little edge that doesn't have the ink, so tap off the excess and you can brush off any stray embossing powder. And I see now that I put my finger there and I missed a spot of embossing powder, so just pour it back on there and tap it off. And then once that's done, I'll put that down and we'll put the excess back into the jar and get it out of the way. And I'm going to use these Tim Holtz tweezers, and they have this fine little point at the end, so it's perfect for this project. And we're going to turn on our heat tool and we're going to melt the powder. Now our heat tool has a very diffused flow of heat, so you need to let it heat up a second, and then you find the hot spot, and then once it starts melting, then you can continue just moving it across the die cut here. I'm going to put that aside, and on to the next one. We're going to go ahead and use Wendy Vecchi Tiger Lily embossing powder for this one, and I'm going to stamp it with the gray ink and then pour some embossing powder over top, tap off the excess, being careful about the edges there, and I am using a dry paintbrush this time to get off the excess. And then put that back in the jar, and again we're going to heat it until it's melted and use the tweezers to hold it. And that looks like it's just about done. Yep, you see it's shiny. And then we're going to put that aside to cool. And for the next one, we're going to use Buttercup. That's a Wendy Vecchi embossing powder. Then green. This is a Ranger brand. And Ranger blue embossing powder. And then I'm going to make a purple with the Ranger embossing powder. And I'm going to go ahead and do those colors and come right back. And here they are. I've embossed each of those how I did the first time. And now I'm going to stamp our sentiment. I cut out the die cut for the happy birthday. And again, I'm going to use our jet black archival ink to ink the stamp. And then to just stamp it onto the die cut. Make sure I get a nice good impression. Just like that, and then I put it aside, and I'm going to stamp our balloons with the string next. So I'll place that on the stamping block and go ahead and take the jet black archival ink, ink up the stamp, and then line it up. Remember that the string is on this side, and you want to make sure you place your die cut in the right direction before you stamp. And go ahead and stamp that up. Just like that. And then I've already done the other ones. I'll just grab them over here a second. We want to make sure that we have 6 of them for each balloon. And now we're going to attach the balloons onto the string die cut, and I'll start with the red one here. And I'm going to pop this up to give it a little more dimension, so I'm going to use our Letter It adhesive foam tape to do that. So I'll cut off a piece that'll fit onto the back of the balloon there. Take off the liner paper and then just stick that on, lining it up with the other die cut. And then I'm going to do that for all the rest of them. Okay, and now I'm using a top folding card. This is a Wendy Vecchi Perfect card, and I'm gonna arrange my balloons till I get it how I like it. And sometimes I can be a little fussy about this, so please bear with me while I figure out what I want to do here. Okay, and grab my sentiment here. Anyway, it's always a good design aesthetic if you don't center everything. It always looks a little better when it's off center. So I think that's probably a better layout. Okay, and so now I'm gonna go ahead and glue everything down, and you want to pay attention to how the strings are sitting. You don't want it too chaotic. And I'm going to glue everything down with the double stick tape that is by Letter It. Okay, now that looks good, and I think I'll put my sentiment right there. But before I do that, I want to glue down those loose strings. So I'll take my double stick tape again, and I'll just cut a little sliver off right here. And I'm just going to secure that one loose string, and that'll help to keep all the others in place. There we go, that's good. And now I'm going to pop up our sentiment here. I'll put a couple of pieces of foam tape. This will help to raise the image so that it's equal to the balloons. And it will just help the design be more cohesive. And place it right here. Like so. And then that's it. You have this cute birthday card. Can be good for anyone, for all ages, and I love the dimension of it with the balloons being popped up like that, and it's just a bright and cheerful card. So if you'd like to give this project a try, we have a link to the full supply list in the description box below. And if you'd like to see more crafty videos, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.